Hi YouTube people, welcome back to another monthly read and wrap up. I read 9 books in June, so let's get into it. The first book I read is called A Not So Meet Cute, and I read it on Kindle Unlimited. The tropes are fake dating, rom-com, forced proximity, and billionaire male main character. And it's about Huxley, who needs a fake pregnant fiance to close a business deal, and Lottie, who needs a rich man to impress a frenemy and to also take to like a class reunion. Yeah, and this was a cute, fun, quick read. Things I liked about the book are I like the way they meet. I like that they didn't like each other at first. I really liked her name because I didn't like his name so much. So yeah, I liked her name a lot. And I also liked the banter between the two characters. And also the pretty woman vibes. There was a lot of vibes in the book, and they even like joked about it. Um yeah, and also the last thing I liked was the weird funny dates they had to go on to impress um the guy he was trying to close the business deal with. Those dates were so funny. Things I didn't like about the book was his name. I said that. Didn't like his name. I didn't like he was an asshole, so I didn't like that. And also the ending, it felt really rushed. But other than that, it was a cute, fun read, and I give it 3.5 stars. The next book I read is called Fake Empire. I also read this book on Kindle Unlimited. The tropes are arranged marriage and billionaire romance. It's about Crew and Scarlett, who are from two of the wealthiest families in New York, and they are arranged to be married. And that arrangement has been like set since they were teenagers. So I really enjoyed this book. Like they both try to treat their marriage as like just a business deal until it becomes something way more. And I loved how their relationship progressed. So the things I liked were the banter between the two characters. I liked that Scarlett, she had like this ice queen persona, and like she was like confident with everything else except with her feelings towards Crew, and she was like insecure about his feelings towards her. But other than that, like I loved her. She was a queen. And even though she was like an ice queen, he like never gave up on her, even like when she was acting bitchy towards him. So I really enjoyed that, and like I said, I liked the way their relationship progressed throughout the book. Um, the things I didn't like were the lack of communication, more so on her end. And she was kind of annoying a little bit when she kept denying her feelings towards him. But other than that, this was a really good book, and I give it 4 stars. This is top two books I read. Now, I don't know if I'm saying it right. I'm trying to say this book is top 2 of the month, but it's not number 1. It's number 2. My second favorite book I read this month. Something like that, yeah. Anyway, 4 stars. Okay, the next book I read is called The Crime Lord's Captive, and I read it on Apple Books, I believe. And this book was something else. I wasn't really into it like that. It's a dark romance and a mafia slash underworld vibes. So it's about Lila, who ran away from Gavin years ago, and Gavin, who has been searching for her. He finally found her and brought her back by threatening her family. And I did not connect with the characters. I didn't really like the characters at all. Like Gavin, he's a psychopath. He's controlling, manipulative, a cheater, and violent. Like real psychopath vibes, but not in a good way. And then, what was her name? Lila. I just thought she was kind of a weak character. Like he crossed a lot of lines with her, and she just like took it. I don't know. And then also he annoyed me because he was like, he told her, what did he say? He said something like, I hurt you by cheating, you hurt me by leaving, we're even. Something like that. And I was like, what? That was so gross of him. But yeah, I couldn't get with him after he said that. And I didn't really care about the characters too much. I don't know. I just wasn't into it. But there are other books in a series. And I like read on Goodreads that it gets better. So I'm going to have to find out. I just don't know when I'm ready to pick up the rest of the series. So I don't know. But give that book 2 stars. Like, it wasn't horrible enough for 1 star, so 2 stars. I read way worse. The next book I read is called The Summer Proposal, and I also read this book on Apple Books. I don't really know the tropes of this book. Like, maybe, I guess you could say maybe like a sports/hockey romance, since he was like a hockey player. But like, that wasn't really the focus. I don't know. But it's about this hot guy named Max who pretended to be Georgia's blind date. And they're like having a good time getting to know each other until her real blind date shows up. But that's how they meet. And he ends up like slipping her a ticket. And it turns out, and she ends up going to like the hockey game. And then it turns out he's the hockey player. And like she sees him on the big screen. Stuff like that. And I thought that was cute. I thought the way they met was cute. Like, that was so funny. Him pretending to be her blind date. So, yeah, things I like. The way they meet. Max's character, he's a really good guy. Georgia's best friend. What else did I like? Oh, her fiance. I like that the fiance got mad when Georgia got with Max. I forgot to say she's in an open relationship with her fiance who decided to move across the world into another country, and they're in an open relationship. So that was crazy. Things I didn't like was the open relationship, Georgia's name. I have a thing with names, so I didn't like her name. Yeah, I said the open relationship, and what else? It was something else, I think. Oh, Georgia, she was like a little weak when it came to the fiance and the open relationship because she should have been like dumped him. But yeah, that was what I didn't like. But other than that, it was like a solid book to read. It wasn't hard to read. And like it was an okay book, so I give this 3 stars. Okay, the next book I read is called Wolf Girl. I read it on Kindle Unlimited. It's a part of the series. I read 2 books of the series this month, Wolf Girl and Lost Girl, both on Kindle Unlimited, and I got like 2 more books to read. So it's about a split wolf named Demi who was banned from Wolf City. She like went to school on the outskirts, something like that. And she ends up being new to the Wolf City and to the Wolf School because the Alpha's son, like, he, like, ran into her and, like, sensed that she was a wolf and invited her back to Wolf City. So, yeah. That was that. And then also when she gets there, she's, like, it's, like, this whole wolf bachelorette thing where her and a bunch of other girls are dating the Alpha's son until he, like, picks a mate. Yeah, those were the vibes. The things I liked about the book was Demi's humor and her character. The things I didn't like was the reason why she's a split wolf. The whole wolf bachelorette thing, didn't like that because I think I like the wolf stories where they like sense their mate or like smell the mate and it's like boom, we're mated. I like that kind of wolf stories. I didn't really like Sawyer, the Alpha's son. He was just average in my opinion, and I didn't like what the author did with Demi. She like wrote her like how do I say, I'm not like the other girls, I'm a cool girl, I'm different, stuff like that. I didn't like that because like there was no need for that to be the case when Demi's character is already cool. So yeah. And also I didn't like the ending of the book. But other than that, it was like a good solid wolf book, and I gave it 3 stars. And then I read the next book of the series called Lost Girl, and like I said, I didn't like the ending of the first book. So the second book, it like picks up where she was kidnapped by vampires, and then Sawyer, who was stuck in some love spell that he was like unable to break, and she ended up having to travel through. What did she travel through? It's like a magic world, I guess. So like all the magic lands with the fairies, the trolls. She had to like travel through all of that to get back to Wolf City. And like while she's doing all that, Sawyer's going crazy because Demi's gone and he started a whole bunch of wars. So yeah. Things I liked about the book was I liked the wolf story, and I liked that it mentioned like other magical creatures like the trolls and the fairies. Like I thought that was different. And the vampires, yeah. So I like that, and I like the new character that pops up, Arrow. Like low key think Demi should be with Arrow, but I don't know. We'll see. I disliked I still dislike Sawyer. He just doesn't do it for me. He was just annoying, and I just also dislike the reason why there's like beef between the two types of wolves. So that like annoyed me because it was like pride that really caused it. And Demi kind of annoyed me because like she was a different type of wolf, and she has the chance to lead her people, but she kind of like she wanted to go back to Sawyer, so she kind of like left her people. But now towards the end of the book, she has to go get her people in order for them to help her and Sawyer. So that kind of annoyed me because she should have been like trying to merge the wolves, not people. She should have been trying to merge the different wolves ever since she found out she was one of them, instead of like now you only want them because you kind of need them. But yeah. So that book was disappointing because I like the first one better than I like this one. So I give it, I want to say 2 stars, maybe 2.5 stars, because it kind of like let me down from the first book. But I'm still going to read the next 2 books because gotta finish the series. Okay, the next book I read is called God of Malice, and I read it on Kindle Unlimited. And I keep doing this thing where I start series, but I'm supposed to read like another series before I start that one. So yeah, that's what I did with this book. So I have to like, I'm not going to finish this series. I'm going to go back and read the first series because like even though it's a standalone, it's like all kind of interconnected. But yeah, this is a dark romance, and this is my favorite book of the month. Don't judge me because it's a dark romance. But yeah, it's my favorite. And it's not a 5-star book. It's still a 4-star book. It might be 3.5. I don't know. But it's my favorite because, I don't know, I just like dark romances. So, it's about Glendon, who's going through something, and she meets Killian, who's a psychopath, literally psychopath. But in a good way, psychopath. I don't know. So he's like, they meet on a cliff, and she's like, kind of about to, but then here he comes, and she's thinking he's gonna save her, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna save you. I'm here to capture the moment of like her, and she's like, what? But then he like ends up like moving her so like where he could save her or he could like let her go, so her life is in his hands, and he's all like, yeah, I'll help you, but you gotta do something for me. And it's basically like, blow me or die. That's what he literally said. So that was the crazy part, but that was how they met. And he's a psychopath. He knows he's a psychopath. Everyone knows he's a psychopath. But like, he's still kind of hot. Like, and she was into it. This book was so crazy. It was so fun to read because I haven't read a dark romance in a long time, and then I picked this up. But I like psychopath Killian. He was hot, and he was sweet to her. He had his sweet moments towards her. I like some of the side characters. I like the spice and I like the plot twist because like I wasn't expecting it. Um, the things I didn't like about the book. Some of the side characters annoyed me. Like one of her brothers. Yeah, that one of them was crazy. Um, Glendon, I didn't really like her. Like Killian was like, ugh. Killian was everything because like he was a psychopath, and Glendon, she was kind of bland, but I guess she kind of had to be because you can't have two characters that are like out there. Like they kind of have to level each other out. So where he's a psychopath, she's kind of bland, but it's fine. Um, but yeah, like I said, I like this book. It was a dark romance. Can't really say too much about it without giving it away. But yeah, I'm sticking with 4 stars, and I'm gonna read the first series first, then come back to the series. So can't wait for that because I think all of the books are dark romances. So I'm excited. I'm back in my dark romance era, I think. Next book I read is called Deviant Hearts. I read this on Kindle Unlimited also. And honestly, I can't really remember too much about this other than it's an arranged marriage and it's a mafia romance. Yeah, and I want to say I think it's enemies to lovers too. Yeah, okay. Now I'm remembering it. Their families were enemies and they like forced the girl and the guy to marry because to like end the feud between them. Feud. To end the feud between them. Why did I feel like feud? That's wrong. To end the feud between them. Okay, so it's Neve, who is the Irish mafia, and then Ares, who's the Greek mafia. I love his name, by the way. So yeah, Greek mafia, and they actually live across from each other, like in different buildings, but like they could see into each other's apartments. And so yeah, arranged marriage, so they could put the family feud behind them. I liked Ares, his name, his hotness. I also like the side characters in the book. Ooh, the twists and turns, the like the villain. There was this crazy villain who was like, "I'm out, I'm coming after you, Neve. You know what you did." So I liked that part. I was like, "Ooh, this is different." Because at first I thought it was just gonna be like beef between Neve and Ares, but then you got the real villain of the story. So I liked that. I didn't like their relationship development. Like it could have been written better. We should have like saw it more or like read more about it because you can't. Yeah, yeah. So that, and I also didn't like when Neve was like slut shaming some girl she thought was like after killing. I didn't like that. And there's also cringy moments throughout the book. But other than that, this was a good solid read. Yeah, 3 stars. The last book I read for the month of June is called Idol, and it's a rock star romance. Where did I read this on? Not. I read it on Apple Books. But yeah, so rock star romance. It's about Libby. She finds Killian's hot drunk ass passed out in her yard, and then he turns out to be a famous like rock star, but she didn't recognize him at first or whatever. And then you find out like she's an aspiring singer slash songwriter as well, and then ends up going on tour and their romance happens. But yeah, I didn't like how she didn't recognize him because like if he's so famous, what do you mean you don't recognize him? That like I didn't like that, but about the book, and I also didn't like the miscommunication between the two, and I think their relationship happened too quick. It was very like insta lovey. I didn't really like that. I'm a slow burn kind of girl. So, oh, I also didn't like the fact that the story was like kind of boring and dragged on. But I did like Libby a lot. She was kind of grouchy. I like that, and I like the way they meet because that was different. Like you meet someone passed out in your yard and you're and you start a romance with that person. Me personally wouldn't do that, but it made for a good story. This wasn't it wasn't a bad read, but also wasn't a good read because it was a little boring and dragged on. But it wasn't all that terrible. Like, it had its good moments. So for that, I give it 3 stars. And that's it for all the books I read in June. July is kind of starting off slow for me. Like, it's July 10th right now, and I only read 2 books. But one of them was really good. It was 5 stars already. I can't wait to talk about that book. But yeah. So hopefully I can read a lot more. I'm trying to read 10 books in July, hopefully. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time. Bye.